Hello, good evening. Welcome to Sports Today. So, New Zealand are the World Test Championship winners. They won that final by 8 wickets, courtesy of Messrs. Williamson and Taylor. An incredible partnership that, especially after R. Ashwin had plucked out the openers, Tom Latham and Devon Conway. That was a really good spell of off spin bowling by Ravichandran Ashwin, easily, arguably the best off spinner in the world. And India had backed the spinners to do well. Not much for Ravindra Jadeja in this test match as a bowler, but R. Ashwin really tried valiantly, really tried hard. But it wasn't to be. Heartbreak for India. Spare a thought for the Indians as well. But we'll come to India later. It's New Zealand's moment of 21 years after that Champions Trophy, what was called the ICC Knockout Champions Trophy victory, also against India in the final. New Zealand have finally lifted this trophy, this World Test Championship trophy. It's, the test base is theirs, and this has been an incredible test match. A lot of us thought that a result may not be possible because of the inclement weather, rain, bad light, 2 full days washed out. But there was a reserve day, and indeed a result was possible, and it was New Zealand, the happier team at the end of the reserve day. It was a gripping test match even on the reserve day. India lost all those early wickets. They were 64 for 2 overnight with Virat Kohli and Chiteshwar Pujara at the crease. Virat Kohli went early. He perished to Kyle Jamieson, his RCB teammate, completely outfoxed in the first innings. And again, uh, Jamieson getting the better of Kohli in the second innings. Chiteshwar Pujara, not in the best of form. He was tentative, got out early as well. Ajinkya Rahane, he wouldn't be too happy with his two dismissals it wouldn't be too happy with his dismissals in this test match. And of course, Rishabh Pant, it was a strange kind of knock, but again, Rishabh Pant, that's the way he plays, went on to score 41, getting out. Ravindra Jadeja didn't get too many with the bat, R. Ashwin as well. And India set New Zealand a target of 139 with a little over 50 overs. Like I said, R. Ashwin had dismissed the two openers quickly, but Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor, that was an incredible partnership. Williamson, of course, missing out on a half century in the first innings. He fell for 49 after batting 177 deliveries. Ross Taylor was dismissed cheaply by Mohammad Shami for 11. In the second innings, runs were difficult to come by. Extremely, India were very, very tight at one point in time, but Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor really stuck to the crease. They stuck to their task, and they came together at 2 for 44 when Devon Conway fell to R. Ashwin. And those were only the only 2 wickets, the only two New Zealand wickets to fall. And at the end, it was a great partnership, 44 for 2, and they finished at 140 for 2. A partnership of 96 runs there, an unbroken partnership of 96 runs for the third wicket. Incredible batting. Kane Williamson, 52 not out of 89 balls, captain's innings. Ross Taylor, 47 for him, 47 unbeaten runs, and he was, of course, he hit those winning runs. And euphoria in the New Zealand camp here. It was just brilliant, brilliant to watch New Zealand play the way they did. You feel sorry for India. It's a bit of a heartbreak for India as well. It's a 2 year journey. It's been a 2 year journey in this World Test Championship. I can see a lot of comments already. Pujara and Rahane should be dropped, says Rishikesh Bora. Karun Nair, जिस player के साथ partiality करोगे. Vande Matarams commenting on players around the Indian team. Of course, Karun Nair. You'd think of the guy who scored that stupendous triple hundred against England all those years back. Pratyush Jha against that triple hundred for Karun Nair. Somebody's remembering that triple hundred which came against England in 2016-17. Pratyush Jha is talking about New Zealand lifting uh, the World Test Championship. What a team, what a squad. Unbelievable, absolutely. And in fact, even on airs, on the commentators were talking about New Zealand's collapse several years ago, almost a decade ago against South Africa, and how they have completely, in a sense, come up so incredibly as a test team. And it's just such a pleasure to watch these guys go about the business. Whether Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor, just incredible players and such good guys on and off the field. It's yes. It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking considering India's journey in this World Test Championship. Uh, Began with a series win in the West Indies, series wins against South Africa and Bangladesh, and you will always keep that series win in Australia as one of the top billed Test series of this tournament. What incredible fight! What incredible commitment from the Indian team, despite losing some of the senior players to injury, and how the others stepped up and how the bench strength stepped up. Again, I so somebody saying Vande Mataram saying remove Rishabh Pant, he's just good. No, come on, those are very very harsh comments, really harsh comments. Had it not been for Rishabh Pant, well, you would have probably we would have not won that test at the Gabba. It was just one of those innings, spectacular. Also think of his 100 against England in the final test. Think back of his incredible knock in Sydney. Let us not be unfair to the players. And also, it is a fact that it's just one test. It cannot determine your quality as a test team. Remember, this World Test Championship final, rain truncated as it was, rain hit as it was, the fact that there was a result, the fact that they came to this situation, it was thanks to two incredible bowling lineups. It was just absolutely brilliant bowling from India in the first innings and New Zealand in both innings. Also, India, by the time New Zealand came out to chase those 139, batting had become a lot easier compared to what it was in the match in the days before that. Also, yes, if you had to look at it, if you have to look at how this game went for some of the batsmen, they wouldn't be happy. Some of the Indian batsmen wouldn't be happy with the way they got out. Rohit Sharma in the first innings after looking so solid. Shubman Gill, he will have to work on his game in England. This is the first time he's playing international cricket in England. This is He will learn. He will learn a lot, and he will get better. Virat Kohli, both those dismissals, he was set up beautifully by Kyle Jamieson. In fact, Nasir Hussain made a very important, pertinent point when Virat fell in that second innings to Kyle Jamieson. He said that stroke, which he was, when he got out to Jamieson earlier today, it reminded him of his dismissals against England in England back in 2014. That he said it was more the Virat of 2014 than the Virat of 2018 who came and scored so many runs in England and was just such a pleasure to watch. And it was actually, in a way, New Zealand adopted the James Anderson approach towards Virat Kohli from 2014. So there will be some question marks. People are asking about Cheteshwar Pujara. Again, with Cheteshwar Pujara, it's sometimes we do. Um, it's not right to be too harsh on individual cricketers. It's a defeat. It's a collective failure, and it would be it will I'm sure there will be some introspection, but again, one of test match cannot determine how good or bad a test team India is. I think India is an incredibly good test team. They've done very very well in their journey. For 2 years, it's taken them 2 years to get to the World Test Championship final, and they should be very proud of everything that they've achieved along the way. For individual players, again, these are the same players. Remember Cheteshwar Pujara, who stood up in Australia, took all those blows, and delivered results for India. Ajinkya Rahane stood up and delivered. He scored that 100, that memorable 100 in Melbourne. So there will be there will be time to ask questions, but again, questions on Rishabh Pant. That's the way he plays, and that's his style, which has got him rave reviews as a cricketer. At the end of the day, you just have to admit that it was an incredible New Zealand team. It was an incredible bowling attack, and New Zealand stuck to their guns of picking four fast bowlers, and they did really, really well. Akshat Harchila saying a win for the ages for New Zealand. Absolutely, New Zealand will be thrilled, thoroughly pleased with their effort in Southampton. Historic Test match victory. The good guys of international cricket, it does show you, it does go on to tell you that good guys sometimes finish first as well. They'd be really, really happy with the way they went about their business in this game, and in the limited time they had in this test match. It was one complete full day of test cricket possible, and look at how they approached it. There was pressure. Even if you're chasing 139 in the fourth innings on the final day of a test match, there is always pressure. When it's the final of the World Test Championship, there must have been added pressure on the black caps, but Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor. You just want those two men, right, batting for you in such a big final. A lot of questions. Again, come on, those are really Avinash, remove Virat as captain. No, Virat Kohli has been a champion captain for India. Ravi Shastri has been stellar as coach. He was again seeing some comments against Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli. No, they are. Um, it's not a question. It's not a question on their credibility as captain and coach. Ravi Shastri was coach of the Indian team in Australia when he won a series without a lot of his major players. And again, Virat Kohli has led from the front. He's been incredible as a leader, incredible as a captain, and he's done wonders for this Test team. Yes, you could ask questions of Virat Kohli, the way he approached this game as a batsman. Well, there are, you know, experts going to talk about that and how where he went wrong and what was, that was he'd be disappointed. He'd be disappointed with that way he got out to Kyle Jamieson, getting the better of him on both occasions in both innings. Kahan gaye bouncers, kahan gaye bouncers, kahan gaye bouncers. Yeah, Hulwitz is talking about the lack of bouncers that what I thought Muhammad Shami was relentless. He was really really fearsome in his approach. Troubled. Um, he really did trouble the New Zealanders. RJ Pawan is talking about team selection. He said we went wrong with the team selection. Well, again, in hindsight, you can always talk about team selection, but look at the impact Ashwin had in both innings, in fact, and his two wickets proved to be quite crucial. Shami was brilliant, brilliant. He didn't get any wickets in that final innings, but he looked like the most threatening India pacer throughout this Test match, as was Ishant Sharma. He was just so good. We went wrong, and of course, wasn't a great match for Jadeja with the ball. And just with Bumrah, he was not his usual self. He didn't quite get in the wickets column, so that would have hurt India as well. And you don't expect that from a bowler of just with Bumrah's caliber. He's just won us so many games in so many different conditions. It was that one of game which did not quite go well for him. It's enough how many times India lose knockout matches like semi-final and final. Well, the fact that they're reaching the finals is good enough. First off, yes, you're right that they'd want to start winning. They'd want to start winning finals from here on. Exactly about 4 years ago, India had lost the Champions Trophy final to Pakistan. Then against this defeat here, the 2019 World Cup semi-final, all defeat also to New Zealand. It was also a rain-affected game, that one. It was the semi-final of the World Cup with the ODI game went on the second day. MS Dhoni and Ravindra Jadeja tried heroically, but it wasn't to be. So that was yes. There are, you'd want this team to start winning ICC events. You'd want this team to start winning more tournaments, and they'll get there. They'll get there. But the circumstances of this game was such that it wasn't uh, you never know what would have happened had there been a proper five, had there been proper cricket over 5 days without too much time being lost. But that's how it went, and it was conditions were same for both teams, and New Zealand were clearly the better team, clearly the better team. India also, they'd also missed rue some of the missed chances. For instance, when they had New Zealand down for six wickets for not too many, and they should have probably pressed harder and taken a bit of a bigger lead, and also that would have given them more time to perhaps try and gauge a target for New Zealand. 138 with a lead of 138, setting a target of 139 was never going to be enough. Also, just try and get you some details from the post-match presentation ceremony if it has started. Um, I can sense a fair bit of disappointment, but it's just been outstanding cricket from New Zealand. Ross Taylor has spoken there at after the match. He's spoken to the broadcasters. He said still, the feeling is still sinking in, but it's been a couple of years coming, a lot of rain. But the way the team fought from day one to be out there in a crucial situation for a little bit, it's something I'll never forget. This would have to be the highlight of my career. So that's what Ross Taylor has said. He says this is the highlight. This World Test Championship triumph is the highlight of his career. At the start of my career, I felt we probably didn't have the side to do this, but I'm sure there are a few Kiwis waking up who will be very, very proud. There was a lot of pressure. It was nice to be standing up with The 2019 World Cup was something that was very tough for us at the time, but this makes up for that. Over time, it will sink in a little more. Remember New Zealand's heartbreak in that World Cup final against England in that super over and everything that went down. New Zealand was just superb in that 2019 World Cup as well, and they've been superb in this World Test Championship and in the final, defeating India. A team like India, it's never easy, and in New Zealand at the end did that very comprehensively, won there by 8 wickets. Shardul Thakur, somebody's asking if Shardul Thakur would have been included in place of Ravindra Jadeja. Again, if you look at it in hindsight, it is, you can always make a lot of decisions in hindsight, but the fact is that they backed this team to do really well, and this was their best 11, the most experienced bowling attack, and their first choice batsman. Um, Again, talking of captaincy, there will be no change in captaincy because of everything that Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri have done as a leadership group together. But yes, they will be. This is understand that this was this one-off test match, which will not define India's quality as a test team. It is something that we'll show in the years to come, or in the very near future. You will see India getting the chance to win another ICC tournament, because the sheer quality of this team. Shashank Sombani, Shashank is saying New Zealand with a better team, but then let us support our team as well. I completely agree with you, Shashank. New Zealand with a better team, and this is what sports is. This is how it works in sports. One team wins, one team loses. But in New Zealand were incredible, understandably. I completely echo your emotions here, Shashank. New Zealand were the better team. They deserve this, and their bowling performances were just incredible. Hard luck with the batsmen. Yes, some of the batsmen will have to take responsibility for some of the short selections. They were just not on. Ajinkya Rahane had tentative dismissals in both innings. Rohit Sharma looked so good in that first innings, falling to that shot. Cheteshwar Pujara little too tentative again, and then the way Virat Kohli got out in that second innings, very very disappointing. Understandably, there are questions that can be asked of how India can do better in England. It's okay to talk about India doing well overseas. They have done incredibly well overseas, but in England, and there is a big Test series coming up, it's a long Test series coming up, it's a good long summer tour of the UK for this Indian team. They will have to work on their game in England, understandably. So Virat Kohli was brilliant in 2018, but they still did not win the series there. In 2014, that was a horror show. This series, with this Test series coming up, they will have to really um, stand up and do well after this defeat at the World Test Championship final. Well, that's that for now. We'll of course come back with plenty more. Um, Tim Southey has also echoed uh, Ross Taylor's views, talking about how this has been a journey coming 2 years, and the consistency through performances, consistency through selections, and how the turnaround happened. And what he's also said is, Tim Southey said that this is probably the longest 139 runs I have ever experienced, and I think as an international sports person, you want to look for ways to get better. That's what I've done. This group has pushed each other to get special work on skills and fitness. And also, this was BJ Watling's final test match. And he says BJ Watling sums up what this team means. We wanted to send him off with a win at the start of the tour. He's been tremendous. He's been a tremendous part of the side. He's given this team everything he's had. Couldn't be happy for him. Remember BJ Watling, the New Zealand wicketkeeper, playing his final test match? He displaced his finger, dislocated his finger, kept wickets with a lot of pain. But at the end, there he really got a great send off. In New Zealand, of course, had also won the two-match Test series against England before this World Test Championship final started. Well, that's that. There will be a presentation ceremony shortly. I wanted to stick around and give you details from there and see who the man of the match would be. But I suspect Kyle Jamieson could be a front runner because of his superb efforts with the ball. Kane Williamson leading from the front, scores of 49 not out, 49 in the first innings and a half century, unbeaten half century in the second innings, and of course some special performances there from both these guys. Of course, also Tim Southey, crucial runs in the first innings and those 4 wickets there in the second innings. So that's absolutely incredible to see the way These guys went about their business, right? That's that for now. I've tried to answer as many questions. I have answered your take on captaincy, the coaches. I think it's just been one of those days of Test cricket. Just everything always doesn't fall in place, unfortunately. Right then, thank you so much for joining me on this broadcast. There'll be more throughout. Of course, we'll continue our coverage of the European Championship. India New Zealand have defeated India in the final of the World Test Championship by 8 wickets. Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor there remaining unbeaten at the end after some spectacular bowling performances from Tim Southey and Kyle Jamieson for New Zealand. New Zealand are the first winners of this World Test Championship tournament. There will be plenty more of sports coverage on Sports Today. Please do subscribe to the channel, do support us, and do continue to like, share, subscribe to our channel. And of course, always, always, your comments, your precious comments are always welcome on this channel. Thank you. Have a good night.